So recently I started up a new playthrough of Fallout 4 so I could try out some mods on the PC version. And I've always been kind of an unapologetic fan of Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 and think that they get a lot of bad rap from the Fallout community, particularly the ones that feel that Bethesda should never even have had the license to begin with. However, it occurred to me that going through this playthrough that there's a little quest given to you by Codsworth in the beginning where he basically wants you to go looking for Sean and search the nearby buildings. And while doing this for probably the 100th time, it occurred to me that this is actually very reminiscent of a quest in Fallout New Vegas where you go to Sunny Smiles and basically she teaches you how to survive. It's very reminiscent of the second part of the quest. The first part basically just teaching you how to shoot, giving you a varmint rifle. Then you go clear the geckos from the whales. And that's the part that this really reminds me of, is cleaning out the whales. And I was actually going to make a video just pointing out that maybe Bethesda was paying a little more attention than people realized to Fallout New Vegas. And then the more I started looking into it, the more I realized that this isn't a positive look on Bethesda as acknowledging New Vegas's very existence. It actually served to, as much as I hate to say it, show exactly what makes New Vegas a fundamentally better RPG. While I personally think that the Sunny Smiles quest from New Vegas is a little bloated and requires a little bit too much wandering through the desert, which is probably one of my bigger criticisms of New Vegas in general. It's just wandering through nothingness. But it actually has a lot of depth, especially from an RPG perspective, because in this one section of this, I believe, 3-part quest, right? This one section at the very beginning of the game not only teaches you fundamental mechanics of the game, like bats, shooting in general with aiming down iron sights. At this point, it also serves to show you just how much your actions in the game can affect the game. In this quest, you could have a very good outcome or a very bad outcome and variations in between. In this one section, you're assigned with cleaning out 3 whales of geckos. Sunny Smiles will help you after the geckos come running at you, or you can stay in stealth and try to pick them all off. The first whale's a little easier because there's really only 2. The second whale's a lot harder. I think there are about 3 or 4. And once you're in danger and they start coming after you, and the second whale, Sunny and Cheyenne, her dog, will help you in the fight. Now, Cheyenne, unlike a lot of characters in Fallout 4, is killable. That means that right off the bat, in the very beginning of New Vegas, you can witness a nice fluffy dog get ripped apart by geckos, which really serves to give your character some agency and make you feel like your actions actually matter. Because in an ideal, perfect playthrough of this quest, the dog doesn't die, the dog survives, and at the last well, there's a good spring settler that is pretty much, unless you've played it before and you know to go directly to it and go out of your way to save the settler, will almost certainly be completely destroyed by the geckos at the 3rd well. Now, if you go out of your way to save this settler, you actually get a relationship increase with the faction. I believe she gives you water and thanks you. It's a very nice outcome to this part of the quest. But again, going back, if Cheyenne dies, Sunny Smiles is actually very affected by it. And New Vegas doesn't have very great facial animations, but I mean, the dialogue serves its point. So this right here just showed like how fundamentally different Fallout 4 and New Vegas really were at their core. Like, on one hand, you have like already establishing like a good relationship with NPCs, and like they're dependent on you for survival, you're dependent on them for survival, they're helping you out, you're helping them out. It really kind of gets you more invested in the world right off the bat. While in Fallout 4, you're just helping Codsworth clear out some bloat flies, which are one of the most annoying enemies in all the Fallout games. But on top of that, there's no real threat of danger. You could be playing in the hardest difficulty and nobody's really going to have too much trouble with a bunch of bloat flies. And Codsworth is completely unkillable at this stage. I don't even know if he's really killable at a later stage of the game. I've never even had that issue. So there's no real stakes. Like, you're not... What's the worst that could happen? You just stand there and let the bloat flies hit you, and somehow Codsworth doesn't kill them fast enough for you to be killed. And then you just reload. Like, there's no stakes. You know, you're not going to lose Codsworth. There's no negative side of not taking out these bloat flies. And I'd say for a lot of players, they probably just breeze right past this. I'd say it's probably very skippable at this point, or at least it feels that way. Codsworth does most of the heavy lifting in Fallout 4 fights anyway at this stage, and you're better off just saving your ammo. And hammering back on the point of agency, like even in situations like the settlement system, where you're tasked with like saving the settlement from attacks, I think this is one of the key things that made it such a weak system. I mean, of course it's bugged all to hell, and all the pre-built stuff is basically impossible to work with most of the time. But as somebody who really enjoys Fallout 4 settlement system and actually wants Bethesda to improve on it, the biggest problem I have with it in general is that all of the settlers are just nameless, faceless settlers. Like, they don't matter. There's no agency to them. They have no names. When one of them dies, nobody cares. That's one of the things I like about games like State of Decay and State of Decay 2, is like when a member of your community dies, like it has a big impact on the community. Morale drops. Everybody talks about it. Like, there are like little funerals and stuff sometimes. And like you can go like try to recover their stuff, and if they turned into a zombie, like it's a whole thing, right? That's the kind of stuff Bethesda needs to do with the settlement system. If you're gonna do a settlement system, if you want players to be invested into the NPCs, you got to convince the players that the NPCs matter. If you can't even bother to create a freaking random name generator to name the settlers, why would the players care, right? Sorry for that little rant there, but I mean, I've always been kind of a Bethesda apologist when it comes to the Fallout franchise, and it's weird that like this moment of just I was trying to make like a YouTube short of just comparing the two quests together, and I had this like epiphany about this, and I was like, wow, maybe people are right. Maybe Bethesda really does need to kind of get it together. Well, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos about RPGs and my opinions on them.